Hey guys, this video will be in two parts. Part 1 will be talking about type and part 2 will be talking about structs. So this is the way how we declare an integer type variable. So we'll give var a, the variable name and the type, where we assign the integer value and we'll try to print it, right? So let's try to execute this program. Now Go gives us flexibility to change the name of this data type. So currently it is int. So instead of using int, I want to use numbers, right? Now if I try to put numbers and try to execute this program, it will give me an error. Says that numbers is undefined. Now in order to deal with these scenarios, right? In order for the user to define their own data types, so Go gives us this feature of type, right? We just have to say put the keyword type and we need to give what name we'll be using. So we'll be using numbers, and this numbers corresponds to what or which existing primitive data type, right? Now if I talk about int, string, boolean, those are primitive data types. Now once we have written this statement, now if we try to execute this program, now it shows that a is 10. Now what happened here is the Go understood that wherever we'll be using the keyword numbers, so it will be considering the type of numbers as the integer type, right? This is a feature of type present in Golang. So we can use anything. For example, instead of using int, if I use a string here, it should give me an error because it will become a string. Numbers will become a string and we cannot put integers into the string. So it says cannot use 10, right, which is an integer, and it cannot be assigned, right, into numbers because numbers is of string type. Now instead of string, right, using string everywhere, let's rename it to text and we'll be giving that's it about type. Now see here, wherever we will be using text, the data type of that will become string. Now this is a string which we have talked earlier. Now let's try to execute this program. Now you will see that a is, that's it about type. So this type we can define any name here, so with the primitive data types, and also we'll be saying the type along with the structs in the next part of the video. Now let's understand struct with an example. So consider you want to store the details of the users. So the details, which includes the first name, last name, age, date of birth, email ID and all, into the variables, right? So if you want to store such type of data, you need to create multiple variables like this. You'll be creating first name, which is of type string, and the last name, which is of string, and also age, right, which will be type int. So and so on and so forth. So like this, if you go on for each of the users, you will be left with many variables for one users. And similarly, you can have multiple users, right? Maybe in thousands of users, millions of users. It depends on your logic. So dealing with such type of data with too many variables, it's very complicated. Now we can structure all these variables of one user into one component, and that we call it as structures in program. Now how do we declare a structure, and what do we mean by structure is, now let's see first part. What do we mean by structure is, so this first name, last name, age and other details belongs to one user, so we can group them together in under one variable name, so that we call it as a structure. Now coming to the part how we can declare a structure, so let's see that. So in the previous part of the video we have seen the use of the type keyword. So we'll be using the type keyword and we'll be giving a name of what new type we want and to what it corresponds to. So in order to create a structure, we need to use this keyword struct, okay, in small cases, and we'll be using this type definition operator to define the new structure type whenever we use this user as a keyword. Now we'll be opening and closing a curly braces, then whatever values we want for this struct, we can simply take those values and put it inside this structure. For this example, I've taken three fields here. You can have any number of fields here. Now let me remove this one and try to execute this program. Let's create a variable of this user type. So I'll be using a variable name as user1. Okay, I'll be using shorthand assignment rule for this one, which is of type user. So again I have to write the opening and curly braces, and I need to define whatever names I want to put inside it, right? So it has a first name and last name, right? So let me just initialize first name and last name, and in order to initialize it, we'll be using a colon. We need to use colon. then we need to give what value it will be having. For example, I'll give the first name as Tayyib and last name as Salman. Now once initializing this one, let's try to print the values by using this user1 variable name. Now let me try to log.println then. First name is, so user1 dot first name. Let me copy paste this line. User1 dot last name. I am executing this program. Unexpected new line. Yes, so I keep getting this type of error whenever I do not put a comma here, right? So this should be comma separated, and this last line should also get terminated with a comma. So let me clear the screen and re-execute it. Now you will see that first name is Tayyib and first name is Salman. Okay, I have made a blunder here, so it should be the last name. Now you see that first name is Tayyib and last name is Salman. Now what will be there in the age? Since age is not initialized here, the default value it will contain. For integers type, it will be 0, as we have seen in our previous videos. So this is how we declare a variable of a structure. In our case, the structure is with the name users. So this structure we can also pass to functions and also receive from functions. Now let's see that quickly, how we can pass this user1 to a function. Okay. Now let me call a function with a name add age. So which receives a object of this structure. Okay, I'll be passing the user1. So let me define that function now. Function add age. It receives a user of type user. Okay, and it returns nothing initially. Now what I'll be doing is I will be returning the object back after adding the age. Right now I need to specify of what type I'll be returning. So I have typing the user here, and after adding the name user.age to 20, I'll be returning the user. Now this user I am taking back into user1, and I'll be printing user's age. User age is user1.age. Now let's execute this. Here you see guys, user age is showing as 20. So which we have passed the object, and also we have received the object, and it is 20 present here. So that's it for this video guys. So in the part 1 we have seen the type in Golang, and also we have seen how to define a structure and how to use it, and also how to pass this structure to functions and also receive from them. If you have any doubts or confusions, you can let me know in the comment sections. I will try to reply as much as possible to those comments.